Clara Jensen loved old houses, the musty smell, the creaking floorboards, the whispers of the past. Each creak and groan of the wood seemed to tell a story, a secret waiting to be uncovered. So, when the old Victorian house in Eldridge came up for sale, she jumped at the chance. It was a dream come true for her, a chance to own a piece of history. Eldridge was a quiet, forgotten town with a history as old as time. The streets were lined with historic buildings, each with its own tale to tell. The house, perched on a hill overlooking the town, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her. It was as if the house itself had been waiting for someone like Clara.
I could feel a thrill course through me as I turned the key in the rusted lock. The sound of the lock turning was like music to my ears. The house welcomed me with open arms, or so I thought. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the house was eager to reveal its secrets.
The air inside was stale, heavy with the silence of ages. It was as if time had stood still within these walls. Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight that pierced through the grime-coated windows. The light seemed to bring the house to life, if only for a moment. Clara spent the next few days unpacking and settling in. Each box she opened was like unwrapping a piece of her new life. The house was a labyrinth of rooms, each one whispering tales of its former occupants. There were claw-footed tubs, remnants of a bygone era, marble fireplaces now cold and empty, once the heart of the home, now just a memory, and a winding staircase that creaked with every step. Each creak was a reminder of the countless footsteps that had come before her. Clara, however, was not afraid. She was enchanted. The house, with all its quirks and mysteries, felt like home. The first night in the house, Clara slept fitfully. The silence, once intriguing, now pressed in on her, broken only by the occasional creak and groan of the settling house. Once, she woke with a start, convinced she heard a whisper close to her ear. The next morning, she dismissed it as a dream.
The sun, streaming through the dusty windows, painted the room in a warm light, chasing away the shadows of the night.
But as the days passed, the strange occurrences continued. A book left on a table would be found on the floor. Doors, securely closed, would be found ajar. Clara began to feel a prickling at the back of her neck, a sense of being watched. The house, she realized, was not as welcoming as she had first believed. It held secrets, dark and ancient secrets that it was reluctant to share. One afternoon, while exploring the house, Clara stumbled upon a small door hidden behind a heavy velvet curtain. Curiosity piqued, she pushed the door open. A set of narrow, dusty stairs led to the attic. The air in the attic was thick with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the only light came from a small, grimy window at the far end.
As I stepped into the attic, I heard it, a soft, almost inaudible sound. A scraping sound like fingernails dragging across a wooden floor. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained to hear.
The sound came again, closer this time, and Clara froze. Clara's hand trembled as she reached out and grasped the pull string for the attic light. As the bare bulb flickered to life, the scraping sound ceased. The attic, now illuminated, seemed less menacing, but the unease lingered. Among the dusty trunks and forgotten furniture in the attic, Clara discovered a large, ornately framed mirror. It was covered in a thick layer of grime, but even so, Clara could see the intricate carvings on its frame. It was beautiful, with an air of faded elegance that drew her in.
I spent the next few days cleaning the mirror, carefully removing years of accumulated dust and dirt. As I worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched.
Reflected in the mirror's gleaming surface, her own eyes seemed to follow her, wide and apprehensive. Finally, the mirror was clean. It stood in the corner of her bedroom, a dark, shimmering pool reflecting the faint light. The mirror, however, seemed to have a life of its own. Sometimes, in the flickering candlelight, Clara swore she saw figures moving in its depths. Desperate for answers, Clara immersed herself in the local history archives. She was determined to uncover the secrets that had been buried for so long, hoping they would shed light on the mysteries surrounding her own life. She spent hours poring over old documents, faded photographs, and local folklore. Each piece of information she found seemed to pull her deeper into the past, connecting her to the lives of those who had come before.
I learned that my house had a tragic past. It was as if the walls themselves whispered the sorrowful tales of those who had once lived there. A century ago, a young woman named Elizabeth had lived there. Her story was one of beauty and heartbreak, a tale that had been almost forgotten with time. She had been beautiful, they said, with long flowing hair and piercing blue eyes. Her presence had captivated everyone who met her, leaving a lasting impression on the town.
Elizabeth had been engaged to a wealthy man from the neighboring town, but on the eve of her wedding she vanished. Her disappearance left the community in shock and despair. Some whispered of foul play, of a jealous rival or a lover scorned. The rumors spread like wildfire, each more sinister than the last. Others spoke of a darkness that had descended upon the house, of strange lights and eerie sounds. The once vibrant home had become a place of fear and mystery.
I shivered, drawing parallels between Elizabeth's story and my own experiences. The eerie similarities were too strong to ignore, making me question my own reality. Was I merely a prisoner of my own imagination, or was there something more to the strange happenings in the house? The line between the past and present seemed to blur with each passing day.
The line between reality and folklore was blurring, and Clara was caught in the middle. She felt an unexplainable connection to Elizabeth, as if their fates were intertwined across the span of a century. One night, as Clara lay in bed, unable to sleep, her gaze drifted to the mirror. The moon, a sliver of silver in the night sky, cast long, eerie shadows across the room. In the depths of the mirror, Clara saw a flicker of movement.
I sat up, my heart pounding in my chest. There, in the mirror, was a figure. A woman with long flowing hair and a sorrowful expression. Her eyes, a piercing blue, met mine, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. The figure in the mirror was Elizabeth.
Clara watched in terror as the figure in the mirror moved closer, her hand reaching out as if to touch the glass.
Help me.
The whisper, thin and reedy, seemed to come from the mirror itself.
Clara scrambled back from the mirror, her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted to run, to escape the house and its ghostly inhabitant, but her legs refused to obey. She was rooted to the spot, her gaze fixed on the mirror.
The figure in the mirror, Elizabeth, continued to reach out, her expression a mixture of sadness and desperation. Her voice, no longer a whisper, echoed around the room, filled with a chilling despair.
Don't let him take me, she cried.
Clara's breath caught in her throat as she felt a cold hand close around her own. She looked down to see a ghostly hand, translucent and icy cold, gripping her wrist. Fear, raw and primal, surged through her, threatening to consume her.
Clara's scream echoed through the silent house, a desperate plea lost in the darkness. Summoning every ounce of strength, she ripped her hand free from the spectral grasp. The touch, though chilling, seemed to spark a strange determination within her. Clara knew she had to escape, to break free from the haunting grip of the past. She stumbled back, away from the mirror and its ghostly resident. As she did, she noticed a small, tarnished silver locket clutched in Elizabeth's hand.
The locket, Clara realized, held the key to Elizabeth's peace. Could she somehow use it to help Elizabeth find peace and free herself from the house?
Clara didn't wait to find out. She fled the house, the ghostly pleas of Elizabeth echoing in her ears. She didn't stop running until she reached the safety of her car, the engine a comforting roar in the stillness of the night. As she drove away from the house, she glanced back at the attic window. The moonlight glinted off the surface of the antique mirror, and for a fleeting moment, Clara could have sworn she saw Elizabeth's face, this time with a look of peace.
Clara never returned to Eldridge. The memory of the house, of Elizabeth and the antique mirror haunted her dreams, a constant reminder of the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the ordinary. The old Victorian house on the hill remained empty, a silent sentinel overlooking the town. Its windows, like eyes, stared blankly into the distance, holding stories untold and mysteries unsolved. Locals whispered of the young woman who had bought the house only to flee in terror. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices tinged with fear and curiosity, wondering what she had seen that made her leave so abruptly. The house, they said, was cursed, destined to forever hold the secrets of its past. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the air was thick with the weight of forgotten memories and unspoken fears. And what of the antique mirror? The mirror, with its ornate frame and dusty surface, seemed to hold a life of its own. It remained in the attic, its surface reflecting nothing but dust and shadows. The mirror stood as a silent witness to the passage of time, its glass clouded with age and neglect. But sometimes, when the moon hung low in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows across the attic floor, one could almost swear they saw a flicker of movement in the mirror's depths. It was as if the mirror held a portal to another world, a world where the past and present intertwined, a fleeting glimpse of a young woman with long, flowing hair and sorrowful eyes. Her reflection seemed to reach out, a silent plea for help, a reminder of a tragedy long forgotten. The house in Eldridge stood as a testament to the enduring power of the past, a chilling reminder that some secrets refused to stay buried. Its walls whispered of lost souls and broken dreams, of lives forever changed by the events that transpired within. And within its walls, the antique mirror waited, its secrets safely locked away, reflecting the darkness that lingered long after the house fell silent. The mirror, like the house, was a keeper of stories, a guardian of the past, waiting for the day when its secrets would finally be revealed.